Drop the gun! Show me your hands!
House Rep Dan Meuser of Pennsylvania introduced a bill that takes direct aim at the prosecutors deemed to be soft on crime, calling the officials to do their jobs and uphold state and federal laws. Perhaps the greatest responsibility of government is to assure the safety and well-being of its citizens. But far too often, in recent years, prosecutors have failed to pursue charges against criminals that police officers have often risked their lives to arrest. Instead, prosecutors have inserted their own ideological political agenda into the justice system and deemed themselves judge and jury. On Wednesday, the representative introduced the Holding Prosecutors Accountable Act, HB 6999, which would make prosecutors' offices that fail to prosecute at least 67% of arrests for violent crimes ineligible for Department of Justice burn grants. The grants are the leading source of federal justice funding to state jurisdictions. Meuser said that his bill comes as American citizens had a front row seat to soft on crime policies that have emboldened criminals. The failure to prosecute such an alarming number of arrests has emboldened criminals, as they now believe their illegal, violent actions will go unpunished. We have seen the devastating results of this soft on crime mentality as violence skyrockets in our nation's major cities. The Pennsylvania rep said that ideological prosecutors in Washington, D.C. only prosecuted 44% of arrests in 2023 fiscal year and 33% in fiscal year 2022. Meuser said that shockingly, in 2023, prosecution rate of 44% is the highest it's been in 9 of the last 10 years in the city. Meuser said that in 2023 compared to 2022, homicides were up 35%, armed robberies were up 67%, motor vehicle thefts were up 82%, carjackings were up 103%, arson was up 175%, and violent crime as a whole was up 39% in Washington, D.C. In addition to threatening federal funding, the legislation would require prosecutors' offices that serve jurisdictions larger than 380,000 people to publish their prosecution rate data on an annual basis. Meuser said that most jurisdictions do not make the prosecution rate data available to the public. The American people have the right to know how many criminals their local, often elected prosecutor is releasing without pursuing charges. Rep. Meuser argued that common sense says that when the prosecution rate is increased, there will be fewer offenders. My bill seeks to hold prosecutors accountable and helps ensure GS-backed ideologues are not releasing criminals back onto our streets without consequences. Common sense says that when you increase the prosecution rate of dangerous criminals, there will be fewer offenders in the communities to commit acts of violence. The likelihood of this bill passing is not high, but anyone that follows crime knows that a large part of the crime problem in America has as much to do with the prosecutors not doing their jobs as the criminals committing the crimes.